Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and my slow descent into madness as I try to finish Emperor this season. For our first match, we're up against Hayumi. If you didn't know, they are a Twitch streamer actually. They're like pretty big, to be honest, and they have this like nice VTuber model. It kind of reminds me of like the Maid anime. But yeah, I recognize them because I sometimes watch like Tamarin clips, a YouTube channel, and I see them getting hacked. So I was like, it's finally my turn to hack them. But yeah, I picked Stunny because they rudely banned C. Lilia, so I was like, okay, bet, whatever. And then my opponent picks Araz hand guy. Oh, the pronunciation already dying this video. So I picked Flitica and DJB just to like punish and play really aggressively here, because if I remember correctly, they're an avid Archdemon picker, and Archdemon pickers aren't good people, so you have to punish that with like, you know, the C word. So that's what I'm hoping to do here. I'm really hoping my opponent does not pick APOC here, because I'm gonna have a hard time killing that if they ban Bryceria. But luckily, they pick Archdemon, so like obviously we have to cleave them to like punish them and show them what's good. And we just wait for the rest of my opponent's draft. But I would like to say that like, sorry for the shorter video today. Like it's just been very busy. The Emperor climb this season has been really difficult. Like the points have been climbing like 25 a day or something, which is quite wild considering during time I was filming this, it was more than a week away. But yeah, my opponent picks Bryceria here, which is still a very cleavable unit. So I pick Commander Pavel and Ida here to round out my draft. I have a few ways I can get through this. I can either ban mitigation and try to burst down his units. I can try to ban hand guy to make my debuff stick, or I can ban the bunny dom, not the bunny dom, the regular dom, to prevent my Commander Pavel from killing himself. But I decided to go for the really greedy route and ban hand guy because I had a feeling they were gonna ban Flitica, because Flitica is just really oppressive in standard. And look at that, I was thankfully right. So we enter the match with the right prediction, and yeah, luckily my DJB outspeeds. Though actually, I kind of think I would have preferred if the bunny dom, not the bunny, if the Dominio just outsped, because I'm pretty sure my DJB has enough ER. But whatever, we get to go first. We unfortunately do not have any offensive imprints or like buffs of any kind, so it might be a little tough killing his team here, especially with the barrier they're about to get. And I'm really afraid that my Commander Pavel is actually going to kill himself here, because he is not. Well, okay, see, my Commander Pavel isn't super optimized because like I don't really draft him too often, but that actually turns out to be the play here, because as you can see, he lives like a very small margin because he has above average health.
Oh my god, Daddy, stop!
But seeing as how we're here, I kind of have to ram my S3 into Archie and Mercedes and hope we kill. And luckily, being on Penset actually worked out for him, because he actually managed to kill Archdemon in time. So now that my Stenny's turn is here, I just want to kill Araz, because I don't think I can actually kill this bunny dom with mitigation up. But this match is looking pretty much over. So we did manage to... We didn't hack them, but like we outplayed them with our drafts in aggro. My opponent's trying because my team's so squishy that if Bryceria can S3 once, like it's just gonna be Bunny Dom versus DJB, which I think DJB would still win because he actually heals, but it's something we'd have to see. But yeah, if you like my content, as always, please like, subscribe, don't leave a comment, or like leave a comment telling me how much you don't want to comment, like those are my favorite. And yeah, luckily though, even though his Dominio did not stun my Ida with his S1, it looks like my Stenny would have outsped naturally anyway, and we luckily managed to get the W off on my first opponent. And as we move along, you're going to see that this season is a season of like the most ambitious pivots ever. Because once you start putting units like a Degen, what they think is a Degen Politis or like an Adin, you will see that opponents either double, triple down, or they like make the most ambitious pivots known to man. So I pick Adin here just to have like an out, so I can either go like anti-cleave or I can continue trying to like speed contest. But my opponent picks 2 speed imprints, and I've already been burned by this day where I've been outsped by like Pavel of all things as Conqueror Lilius, so I didn't really want to speed contest anyone anymore. So I actually went the safer route of Politis and SCR here. And as I said, some of your opponents, when they see anti-cleave, they're like, bet I'm gonna cleave you harder. And I'm like, okay sir, whatever you say. I'm not gonna doubt it. So my opponent picks Ren here, which is like, I can't believe he's making a comeback into the meta, but Payra isn't. It is such a sad thing to see, to be honest, because I really hate Ran. He's a weeb. He has katanas, guys. He's a weeb. Like, I'm just putting that out there. And he one-shots like a lot of units at like 310, 320 speed. And, you know, like RNL is like fair and balanced. So there is also another factor. But honestly, my team looks pretty Ran-proof in the sense that like it doesn't really care about Ran. And I opt to pick BBK here because if I get rid of this Ran, my opponent doesn't really have good ways to strip my BBK, so they end up banning BBK, which is pretty much expected. And now I just have to pray that my Adin is able to carry out this game. The Edward matchup with Adin is not great because she has unbuffable, but keep in mind that my opponent is a cleaver, so they likely don't put their best gear onto Edward. Like, that might be kind of cope, but like, what can I do, really? My opponent can either go for the S2 here and eat the Politis, or they can actually go for the S3 and try to RNG gamba their way through. And they go for the S3, and they sleep my Conqueror Lilius, which is kind of annoying, but what can you do? Now Wanderer still gets to go, but I stripped the barrier off, so she can't even S2 here. So she has to actually go for the S3, except the only meaningful S3 they can actually go for is Adin. So that's kind of what I'm expecting my opponent to do. Like, I would call this cope, but my opponent is playing to their outs. Like, this is the only play that they have that would like do anything meaningful. Luckily though, my Adin is able to miss or like dodge successfully, like for the first time in her life. And then look at that, the Edward had like 20k HP on middling bulk, so he kind of dies. And Politis gets to go because she cuts the Weedred because of the Mage Frenzy, and we kill him with a Crown Stun on top to get some bonus salt in the wound. Anyway, on to the next match. My opponent's hovering Lermia, but like, what is a popular light warrior that's first pick material? Oh right, it's Conqueror Lilius. So now that I showcased me putting some cringe cleavers into their place, I have to showcase other people putting me in my place. Honestly, I have been noticing that I've been putting less and less of my losses in. It's not because I'm embarrassed about losing. Like, you guys see my win rate. Like, it's only 52, 53, 51%, which means like I lose a lot of games too as much as I win them. It's like, but when I lose, it's like you either just get like cleaved by Ran when I speed contest, or I just a lot of my losses lately are actually when I get too comfortable and I make mistakes. So there was this one match where I outsped my opponent with Flitica, and I got so excited that I actually forgot to S2. So I didn't get the strip, which I actually needed for my Steny stun to go off. But I just ended up pressing Flitica S3 and I ended up losing. Or like, I outspeed with Conqueror Lilius and I just go for the pushback instead of going for Vigor, and that loss of bulk like narrowly kills my Steny, which I needed to finish off his team or something. But it's just like those kind of brain check moments that I don't think would be too interesting. But like, let me know though, if you want a fails compilation, there's a lot I can go through to make it happen. So if you want to see that, come through, you know? Anyway, my draft is kind of weird because I've noticed that when I don't have Conqueror Lilius, I have a very difficult time dealing with Conqueror Lilius. I think what I should have done here is that once my opponent picked Destina SCROL, like they were already committing to like a pretty slow draft. So I should have just picked like Meteor, Cowrick, or like, I don't know, like Yolha or something, and committed to like my safer DPSs, and that would have been better because Bunny Dom and DJB kind of overlap in what they do. And while that's great, I dedicated like 40% of my draft to countering it. I banned out my opponent's last pick thinking that like Designer a little bit is, you know, a non-threat as a DPS. But I forget that Conqueror Loyus here, super fair and balanced by the way, it gives 30% defense, and Dilibet gets her own defense buff. So she actually can get like a greater defense buff. And since my DPSs are so squishy, if they get hit a few times, they'll actually die. Especially my Adin, because I took a lot of bulk off her. But it is still winnable, like as you'll see. I think what I should have done here is that my opponent did not put Vigor up, and I have attack buff. So what I should have done is I should have just, instead of trying to go for the Justina, as I'm about to here, trying to prevent the revive, I should have just killed the Designer a little bit, and then went from there. And what I mean by that is I should have just not pressed my DJBS3. Oh no, I didn't press my DJBS3 here. Or did I? Wait, give me a second. Wait, no, yeah, I did. So instead of having DJB push up, since my team outsped anyway, I should have just used Bunny Dom push up for the attack buff, went into Designer a little bit, and then when my opponent revived with Estina, I should have just been able to kill Designer a little bit because she's at like 20% health. But since I go for the really ambitious kill onto Destina, especially with Escort up, I actually failed to get the KO. And that is going to cost me dearly because Destina can now press S3, and it's like even worse than if my opponent just revived Designer a little bit, because now his whole team is full HP, and I have no souls, I have no attack buff, I have no way to take off decreased attack that my opponent's about to put on with Conqueror Loyus. So it's kind of my flop era in this game. I'm not gonna lie, I got pretty tilted from a bunch of matches. This game was definitely winnable if like everything went the right way. Like if, I don't know, my opponent suddenly had a stroke and couldn't play the game anymore, I guess I could have won. But unfortunately, my opponent is going to do some very, very NSFW things here. I was still kind of coping though. I was like, oh, maybe we can still do it. Like Designer a little bit, you know, is not what you think of when you think of like hardcore DPS carries like Stenny or Landy. So I was like, maybe I can survive. But then this Designer a little bit like chunked my DJP out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, this is about to be over. I can't do anything. I can't even try to sleep this Designer a little bit because they'll just be pushed by Destina. So you already know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna sit here, stand in my mess, and invariably insert the cupcake moan when all my units die. Cause, you know, I can at least do that for my opponent. But here we go. Yeah, and had insult to injury, my Adin didn't dodge there either, so it's time to go.
Cut the cameras.
But yeah, unfortunate. Hopefully I can stay Emperor though, like, I don't know, I have faith. I just need to figure out a way to kind of handle these Conqueror Loyus drafts when they take her from me, because I realize that Conqueror Loyus is just a very big part of my drafts lately, and I'm addicted, guys. You know that it's like I had a taste of 310 speed, and now like I can't let it go. But I only have one set of that gear, so I kind of am forced to let it go a lot of the time if it gets banned, or if my opponent picks the unit that set of gears on. Anyway, in the next match, I pick Conqueror Loyus, and my opponent like immediately answers with Laika, which is not too uncommon nowadays because Conqueror Loyus is still such a centralizing part of the metagame that a bunch of these openers that directly counter her, like I'm beginning to see like Bunny Dom often, again, just because Conqueror Loyus is that prominent in the meta. But yeah, my opponent picks Stenny here, but to counter my opponent's Laika opening, I pick DJB as well as Adin here, and then this is what I meant by like ambitious pivots. Like he goes for the Rowana, Lionheart, Tsurin, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. I do not want to deal with this. So I have to pick neutral DPS options that are like decent into Lionheart, Tsurin, that don't care about Laika, which means like immunity holders. So I pick my only 2 DPSs with immunity, and like luckily they're both good against Steny because they have reach and stuff. And my opponent last picks F10A thinking that I'll be forced to ban it, but I'm like, no, I'm crazy. I have to ban this Rowana. Because if my Adin's counter procs and Rowana pushes up the Lionheart Tsurin, my whole team's gonna die. So we start off the game, we outspeed because like, you know, cash. And then F10A actually resists the strip because of their cringe immunity set. I think I would have been fine if I could get this strip and push back. And then to add insult to injury, my opponent's Laika also resists the redirected provoke, and Adin does not dodge at this very opportune time because, again, why would she? Not that it would matter too much because I guess like Laika could just proc her dodge, but I'm kind of forced into trying to kill this Lionheart Tsurin as soon as possible. But this Lionheart Tsurin is like surprisingly squishy because my Adin's not like omega damage, yet her S3 still did a ton, but like, you know, no complaints from me. Laika gets to go here, but I'm kind of hoping Steny doesn't kill my Adin. But since F10A actually resists the attack down, F10A is called for the dual tag, and that does nothing because F10A has no offensive stats. And Bryceria targets Lermia through redirected provoke, and it kills them. So, justice, I guess. But no complaints. We're just favored by God. As one of my commenters graciously said. You guys are really funny, by the way. Like, your comments sometimes, like, literally kill me. Anyway, in the next match, my opponent picks Scarol Destina, and they ban DJB. So you already know that they're not very fun people. But to commemorate that, I pick what is considered like the Exodia draft into slower drafts lately, which is Handguy Celilius and Steny, because Steny also like dicks most slower teams if they don't pick like 5 counters into her. And my opponent promptly picks Adin, which I thought was a little strange considering Steny is a hard counter, but I guess she does discourage cleavers as she has a real threat of like one-shotting them. So I kind of have to deal with this Adin now, which might be a little sketchy. So I picked Bryceria because Bryceria is on immunity, so she technically doesn't care about Politis, at least the first turn. And I picked the Hawk because the Hawk's also a counter to Adin, especially if I ban the whatchamacallit, the Scare Wall, because, you know, the Hawk being fair and balanced does a billion damage even without attack buff. And since evasion units mostly rely on their bulk for their survivability, not bulk, their evasion for their survivability, getting hit actually is like really detrimental. My opponent picks Tsurin here, but I'm not really threatened by Tsurin because the Hawk is most likely going to take turn 1 and, you know, do his thing, get invincibility, and Bryceria's on immunity. My opponent bans Cowrick here to make sure his debuffs stick, and I'm honestly not too sure how it's going to turn out, but it's going to be interesting. I can't press any of my buttons here because this Politis is actually on Crown, as you can see by the notebook, and I don't want to risk that, especially with no way to cleanse. And I think this Tsurin was on like Secret Arm Storm Sword, so I didn't want to proc that either. But yeah, we ram the skill directly into Adin. I could have also rammed it into Politis, but I was kind of afraid of Politis being a degen Politis and it failing to kill, and then Adin getting our S3 off was like really detrimental. So I just go for the S3 here, just to force Destina to cleanse and press S3 if he doesn't want to die. Because that was my thought process, because since Adin can't be resurrected anyway, there's no point in trying to like save my S3 or anything. I just need to pressure his team to waste all their cooldowns before anything's ready. But my opponent actually opts to push their Politis up in front of my Steny, which I also understand, to finish her off. And judging by the looks of it, it's on really low health, so it's Omega damage on Crown, which is like kind of similar to mine without the bulk. So in that case, I think I should have just S3'd as a hawk into it, and then just S1'd or S3'd Bryceria into Adin, and it would have killed her. But I guess that would have also allowed Destina to revive, because Tsurin would push up with her passive, and then Bryceria's immortality would ran up. Anyway, it all works out. Luckily, the hawk is able to hit the 70-30 miss rate check onto Destina with a soul burn and kill, and Bryceria doesn't care about blind, so she like deletes the Politis, which we love. And yeah, Tsurin, really bad unit in this meta. But that's it for today's video. I apologize for the shorter length, but I'm really busy, and you know, I just wanted to upload to provide content. But after this Friday, when the season is over, I will be straight back to my regular schedule. Just bear with me. I got a little bit of like ranked anxiety, because like technically it doesn't matter. Like I've made Emperor like 3 times in a row. I've proven everything I want to prove currently, because I don't think I'm a legend player, sadly enough. But yeah, I still get stressed because I don't know, my brain hates me. Help. But yeah, thanks for watching. And as always, I'll catch y'all next time.